I decided to retake this clip because the first one was horrible. So, here we are. As you guys know, which is probably why you're here at this video, Lamb of God released a new studio album 9 days ago, October 7th. Me being a big Lamb of God fan, I got into Lamb of God about a year ago, give or take. It was around last summer, so let's just say a year and a half ago. I was fully aware of every album they had created up until 2020, which was their self-titled album, which I was not a huge fan of. So it's kind of funny that I was a big Lamb of God fan, and I was completely unaware until today that this album, Omens, just came out. So, I mean, I haven't been regularly listening to Lamb of God for a couple months, so it'll be nice to jump back into their discography and see what new stuff they're coming up with. But here it is. I went to my local CD and record shop today, just browsing around, and I saw this on the front of the Lamb of God section, and I was like, why have I never heard of this before? And I flipped around in the bag and saw 2022 Epic Records. I'm like, no fucking way. This is a full-length studio album, too. I thought it could, maybe it was a compilation album that I didn't know about, but no, the more I looked into it, fucking brand new studio album that I was completely unaware of. So here we are. I'm going to go ahead and give this a listen. I'm going to crack out the pen and paper, and I'm going to give you guys a detailed description of how I feel about this album. Now, I will say going into this, no offense to Lamb of God, I know that each band does things a little bit differently. Lamb of God has a great discography, and each of their albums is good in their own, separate way. Like, if you want raw shit, you're going to want to go back to the early days. If you want, a little bit more mix of everything, you're going to do Sturm und Drang. They have some clean vocals in there, along with Chino, which was a great addition. But their self-titled album is kind of low on my list. And I don't know how to feel going into this album. I don't want to say my expectations are low, but I want to say they're a little further down there than they would have been if I was listening to a brand new album. My expectations were a little bit higher when I threw in their self-titled album, given their previous discography and their growth over time. But going into this, it's a little bit down there from what it was last time. So I'm just going to pop this in. I'm going to take some notes, and I'm going to let you guys know how I feel about this album. And we'll see if you guys agree with me, or some of you are probably here because you haven't listened to the album yet, and you want to know if it's worth it or not. But here we go. We'll see if anyone even watches this video. But 3 minutes of an intro, way too fucking long. Let's go ahead and hop into this. I'm going to listen to this, and then I'm going to come back, and I'm going to give you guys my opinion on this. It looks like we have a 10-track album. Not sure how long this is, but let's jump right into this. Straight out of the gate, that is not at all what I expected from that album. I have just listened to the entire thing. Holy shit. I will say a lot of times when bands age and they go into a different direction, it doesn't appeal to me as much as their original sound, but I'm just going to go straight into this. I touched on the self-titled album that came out 2 years ago at the beginning of this. And this is immediately better than that. Alright, let's just jump into this. Okay, so when it comes to the beginning track, Nevermore, I was expecting something a little bit heavier. I definitely love diversity when it comes to metal, especially when you put a bunch of diversity into one album. For some reason, that always hits me in a really good way. So, I don't know why, but I was expecting something a lot heavier when it came to the opening track. And I was surprised with something else. It kind of reminded me, just a little bit slower than their typical sound. But it wasn't a bad opener. So I was kind of expecting something a little heavier there, but when you get into the second track, Vanishing, it just, it smacks you. There we go. Vanishing kind of just smacks you, hard. Definitely a killer riff, killer riffs in this song. The drumming is absolutely incredible. And it's so fucking groovy. Like, I always get into that when I'm talking to people about Lamb of God. There is something they have always had, at least since As the Palaces Burn came out, in my opinion. To me, New American Gospel kind of all sounded the same. But since that 2003 album, Lamb of God has always had this incredible way of just laying down some of the grooviest shit in metal. And I always respected that about them, because they can take anything and go more groove-oriented. They can go heavy. And I like that, when a band can throw different elements into shit. Especially when they can keep their same sound to a certain extent. Like, when it comes to Lamb of God, I've noticed they always, when it comes to instrumentation, they have a lot of similar sound, but they always do something different with it in every album, which I like. The second, Vanishing, the second track actually, like, slows down in the middle and gets really calm. That was really interesting for a Lamb of God song, but it was good. It was really good, and then it just slams back into even harder than it did the first time, and that was incredible to me. I definitely loved that. Sorry, I'm sick, guys. But To the Grave, third track. I am going to break this down track by track, and then I'm going to give my overall album notes. To the Grave had some insane breakdowns. Like, it just... I don't even know how to explain it. Fucking love the lyrics in the middle portion of the song. You'll know what I mean if you listen to the track yourself. Really good track. Ditch, track number 4. I don't know what it is about Lamb of God, but the fourth track of every album to me, almost every album, has been really fucking good. But in my personal opinion, Ditch is probably one of the best Lamb of God songs I've ever listened to. Just absolutely brutal chorus. I give it a listen before you even listen to the entire album. Just give that one a listen and set the stage for Omens. It's a great album. Speaking of Omens, the title track, Omens, really groovy. But Lamb of God doesn't just do the typical groove. They do more of a metal groove. I don't know how to explain that. You'll have to listen to it for yourself. But extremely groovy in a metal way. The breakdowns and transitions. Oh, this is an album note, so I'm not going to save this to the end, fuck it. This album altogether has some really insane breakdowns and transitions, and that's really nice to see. Songs that all sound the same on one album, extremely vanilla metal. You want to shy away from that. You want to open yourself up to different elements of the music a little bit more. I don't know what the fuck I'm trying to say, but I think you get what I'm trying to say. You don't want just the typical metal sound. You want to go for something a little bit different, and that's what this is. Okay, so it was around halfway through the album that I noticed they are definitely starting to bring some of their older Lamb of God screams back into this. Definitely good to see that again. But I like how they're also implementing this into a new direction. Like, this album sounds different from anything they've ever produced before. A lot of it sounds the same, but it's all different in each of their older albums. But this one really sets a new stage, basically. It kind of shies away from their typical Lamb of God sound, but I like that. I think it's a good thing. Not that their old sound was bad. I own almost every studio album by this band, but I like this new direction. Gomorrah, I think. The next track tells a dark story, and I like that. Definitely in the beginning. Touching on that a little bit more, I noticed that there are a lot of different vocal styles in this song. But jumping along with that, we've heard a lot of vocal styles from Lamb of God in the past. and a lot of newer elements in this album as well. But from Randy Blythe, the lead singer, or screamer, whatever you want to say, of Lamb of God, over the years, you can just see the evolution of his sound and the execution that Randy has brought through the years through different styles of vocals has always been good. Like, always. There's not a single style from Randy in Lamb of God that I don't personally like. I think it all kind of fits in there together. But I like that, because a lot of metal bands are strictly growling, strictly screaming. Some are just all clean vocals. And this band has all of it. So, incredible vocal execution by Randy Blythe in this album, as well as all of the other ones. Really good. That song, though, Gomorrah, I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce that, so don't shit on me too much, but it was definitely a little repetitive in the bottom 75% of the song. You know, once you get past that short beginning interlude. That's all I really have to say about that song. Not a bad song. Ill Designs, track number 7. Definitely goes back to the sheer heaviness of their sound. Nice little solo in there. I know Lamb of God hasn't always been super big on solos, like especially in some of their albums, but I think this was a really good solo for this song, at least. When it comes to Grayscale, track number 8, sorry, I kind of lost my brain there for a second. Grayscale is fucking insane. I think this song, and I could be wrong, let me know if I'm wrong in the comments. Grayscale, to me, is a song about explaining some deep, personal, inner struggle. And there's a scream in the middle where he just screams out, "I don't know where I am." That hits hard. That really smacks you in the fucking face on this track. And that's what you want. It's just insane. I've never had quite an experience in the music world like that. Denial Mechanism. All right, let's be honest about this song for a second. Track number 9. It doesn't really sound like Lamb of God. I definitely think it's an acquired taste. I'm not a fan of it at the moment. I just thought it was a little too traditional for me. But it's still an amazing song, don't get me wrong. To every listener, it's probably still going to be a good song, but it's just not as good as the others. I think this is probably the bottom track for this album to me. But they definitely redeemed themselves with the closer track of this, September Song. Amazing closing track. And, you know, this song to me is about war in some manner and the division of our world, especially right now. I mean, we have so much going on out in our world. You know, I'm definitely praying for those who are going through war and having to put up with the shit that some people just shouldn't be doing. It's really rough out there right now, and you know, the economy is broken at the moment here in America, and we could get into Russia, but we don't have to, but you get the picture. We're all struggling in some way, but I'm definitely praying for those countries who are going through a hell of a lot more than we are right now. So, hands down, this song is really, really good. And, you know, it just dives deep into those struggles, basically. And, you know, to me, this track honestly hits on a personal level, too. But hello, good morning. Because while this song is about the struggles in our world right now, rather than inner struggle, this one hits me personally as well, because I can take those lyrics and actually apply it to myself. Throughout my high school years, this is my 4th year in high school. I am a senior. Each year, September has been a very difficult month for me. It is a very hard time of the year before my birthday in October. Usually shit hits the fan right around September or the end of August, and that has happened to me for so many years past. So those wars going on here on our planet, I can take that and apply it to the war going on inside of my head when it comes to September, October, and November months. So, definitely very well described in this masterpiece of a song. Overall notes for the album, I love the new Lamb of God sound. I was not expecting much going into this, given their self-titled album, which to me just wasn't that great, no offense. You know, the first 3 songs are pretty good, but once you get past that, there's really not much there for me. A ton of old and new elements in this, like mixed throughout, and mixing those elements to me just sounds really good in the Lamb of God sound. Top tracks for me is definitely Vanishing, Ditch, and September Song. Those are my top 3 for this album. I'm going to have to give this album an 8.5 out of 10. Really good album. Really, really good album. Amazing execution. You know, other than the 9th track, Denial Mechanism, there wasn't really too much in this album that kind of stuck out to me as not very good, in my opinion. So, definitely a banger, and I really appreciate this sound from Lamb of God. And I hope that this continues in the future. God, I couldn't believe when I guess I was kind of in denial myself about where we are as a society and where we are as the human race right now. And growing up, for me, has gone extremely fast. And, you know, when I looked at the cover of this and I turned it around, I realized that we're coming to the end of 2022. Like, Jesus Christ, where did the time go? But I think, personally, the advancements that we're making as a society are almost too complicated for us as a human race. And I feel like this album, in some ways, kind of touches on that. And I appreciate that. I don't know. I just think it's insane where we are right now, and seeing music like this still come out definitely gives me hope for the music industry. A couple other favorite bands of mine are coming out with some new shit. I know Avenged Sevenfold is planning on coming out with a new album soon, but hopefully we'll do a review on that. But those are my honest opinions on Omens. Really good album. I don't have too much to complain about, really. So, guys, give this album a listen. I would definitely recommend adding this to your Lamb of God collection if you have one. Really good album, all in all. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys enjoyed my opinion. If your opinions are the same or your opinions vary when it comes to certain things, definitely drop a comment down below. I would love to hear what you guys think about this album if you listen to it for yourself. Let's have a little community conversation. Definitely a great album, though. Recommend. I hope you guys have a good day. Until next time, I will see you soon.